camera.
Through events like this one, publications, through scholarships to conferences. Two of our members here, Amadeu and Anna, won a scholarship to attend the conference.
Let's talk more about why. When, where, what. Okay? In order to make it workshoppy, I want you to think about these why, where, when, whats, and I'm just going to put up some screens. We'll do the first one together so that everybody's on the right page. If you haven't got a partner, now would be a good moment to stand up and sit next to somebody so that you're talking, so that you have a little pair. If you're in a row and you're all sort of spread out, gather together a little bit. Specificity, making language more specific, jargon terms, where are we going to find a book with this? Nowhere. So if you haven't used it, experiment, download. How many have you already got it downloaded? So is that like 20%? Option 2, if you're a Mac user and you've got mobile phone, this is also Sketch. Is also, how many people are speeches? Only 1 or 2. I just put it up there again, you've got the account. Yeah? If you hold the purse strings of your institute and you hold a little bit of funding for things, I would recommend actually buying software. Yeah? Again, it depends. I'm not here to promote anything, but it's $50 for an institution account, and if you're a poor educator, that's quite a lot. There's, I think, 30 or 25 euro discount for educators, so if you're using it for educational purposes. Necessary if you're going to try to beautify the materials you're creating and get big time into screen recording, because basically the freeware has a restriction of 5 minutes. The freeware will have restrictions on what you can do with it. Let's try and see this. So this is Russell giving feedback.
Another little point I just want to bring up is here, you use the word live. Now, I think live is not really the right word. I think you're going to need to explain. It's not a live recording because obviously the student is playing it back after the teacher has made the recording. But what it is more is a conference. It's very similar to conferencing in the way that it kind of feels like the teacher's sitting next to you going through your work and explaining some of the mistakes. So maybe I think here is the wrong choice of word, and you might need to think about that as well. I think one of the things here is you've pointed out different screen capture tools, and it might be a good idea that when you point out these tools to talk about which...
Key, where's the key? Help. Think about it and to come to class ready to speak about something by offering them that choice, by giving them a little tutorial of where...
Creeping into curriculum and Ministry of Education plan. You know, you put your headset on, virtual reality or augmented reality, where there is a layer of information superimposed on the real world. Exercise. While I was doing this talk, I came across this video. I hope I've got some sounds. Anyone seen this? This is an Italian-American grandmother being taught to use Google.
Cuckoo!
More than reading something on Facebook, believing it, and then sharing it, which is what generally happens. Someone will say something, and everyone will go, oh my God, that's awful. And then they'll say it, and they'll say it, and suddenly you have a massive story. I saw a cartoon the other day about Facebook, and the two guys talking said, you write something here, you press enter and it becomes true.
The average teacher, and according to what statistics say. So this may translate to fewer trees, enormous costs, time and frustration. I remember when I was a director of studies in London, and my teacher's biggest stress factor, frustration, was not the class preparation or their observation or even the British Council inspection, but it was racing to the photocopy machine every morning before a long queue begins. And I remember myself as a younger teacher swimming in a sea of handouts and my administrators urging me to cut down on paper use without actually explaining how I could possibly do that. So how could I replace paper? Okay, go paperless, or don't use so much paper. And agree, disagree. But it's also for resources. So you upload your resources there, you upload your videos, whatever you want them to have, instead of printing them off. So now, if you work at a university, you might be using, I think you're more likely to be using Blackboard or Moodle. I have to admit that Blackboard, I didn't like Blackboard at the beginning. I found it a little bit dry. But it has improved considerably, especially in terms of its mobile applications. I still find it a little bit difficult when it comes to interaction. So students don't like to interact on Blackboard. And that's why I combine it with Amadeu. Amadeu is so easy to set up. You can create a class in like 1 minute and upload resources and get students to have threaded discussions. I wouldn't recommend it as a sole, really, because the interface is not very well organized. It goes in chronological order. But if you combine it with another VLE, it's fantastic. Now, Canvas is probably the best tool on the market today because of its fantastic interface and third-party applications. I think the University of Birmingham are replacing Blackboard with Canvas. And Google Classroom, not my cup of tea, but I know that many teachers love it. Its add-ons are amazing, but the only downside is that you have to explore it and set it up by your institution. And maybe the most important affordance is that paperless pedagogies help students to develop digital literacies. And I'm saying that it is the most important affordance, not only because digital literacies are transferable skills, and your students are going to need them in the future in their jobs, but also because a student who can curate content, who can locate it, who can evaluate it and synthesize it, is more likely to be a better language learner. That listening to the presenter all the time can be a little bit monotonous and boring. Yeah. I mean, you give them the tips, you give them the idea, you share some theoretical, if you know what I mean, considerations, and then you get them together to work, to interact. This is it.
That's what we want.
Exactly. This is what people enjoy, really, to interact. I mean, don't get me wrong, they like listening to the presenter, but this is what they will remember.
Most obsessed with that.
So you're an organizer of that.
I've already got the back
from styluses.
No, it's on the video now.
Something I don't
How's the reporting going?
What?
How is the reporting?
The reporting is brilliant. I mean, there's a lot of movement. I love it because there's action. Some action. We need some action to report.
Great.
Okay, so just with a partner, show your photos. What headline would you give your photo? Is hands up really not that good? So I started looking, if you start reading all this word, there's one word that pops out at you all the time, and that word is engagement. Okay? Hands up actually stops engagement. So I thought, well, that's interesting, engage. So do we engage all my students? And I started looking, I told you, I become obsessed about things. So I started looking at teacher training qualifications, and if you look at the criteria for courses, engagement is always there. This is from the CELTA syllabus. You'll see engagement on there. There's the double syllabus, engagement, full participation is there. British Council teaching standards, all about engagement, getting students together. Ofsted, the British government, engagement, all about that. So I'm beginning to think, well, if engagement, if being an educationalist is about engagement, then maybe hands up isn't that engaging. So then you guys start reading some literature on that. And then from that, I got my 4 exits. Okay? So your exits are here and here and here. The exits that students need. Now at this point, I am going to talk very stereotypically. Of course, I'm not talking about your students, and I don't expect you to agree fully with what I'm about to say. I'm going to put the extreme case, because I'm in a workshop and I can. Okay? So exit 1 then, is hands up theory. Do hands up really engage? Well, statistics are used to prove a lot of things. £350 million, for example, is a good number statistic that we use in the UK all the time. So my statistic is 75%. Okay, that's quite large, isn't it? 75, that's a lot. And what it is the opposite of best, which is 25%, obviously. And the reading, and when you start reading, there's this idea that hands up, if you get the students to put their hands up, only 25% of your students are engaging with you. Okay? I'm not sure I wholly believe that, but 25%. If I ask you to put your hands up, a very small minority minority are going to agree with you. And this appears in Ed's book. Ed's the guy that suggested we go to the phone screen. But it comes through a lot of things. And you see it there. This is, again, from one of those newspaper headlines. The hands going up and down. There's a challenge. It doesn't show support. In fact, the UK has coined a phenomenon for it.
You got that? Well, let's try again. Where, Mr. Potter, would you look if I asked you to find me a visa?
It's a tool to get the students speaking. The game is quite interesting. I'm not selling the game, it's not me, but it is actually got some interesting cards in that you could adapt to it. Okay, so hands up if you had the oldest phone in your group. Hands up if you have the lowest percentage battery. Although the two could be the same thing. And here I've got my students proving that they understood QR codes, which is a lovely segue from your session. If the internet goes wrong, don't blame us. Okay? So please welcome Barbara and Sue. Thank you.
Simple, not an essay. That's like concept check questions, right? Based on a critical concept, but they're used regularly. Okay, when I pass my hand over you, you're allowed to speak to your partners. You probably can only say one or two words. And you'll get two opportunities. So you're going to say what you're going to take away from this session. Ready? Oh, you're good. You can only talk when my hand is over you. Ready, steady?
Yeah.